Hello, my wonderful students. I am so excited because today we are going to review news headlines to help you expand your vocabulary, learn grammar, learn correct pronunciation, but to do that in a natural way by seeing how English is used in a natural context in news headlines. Now, did you know that at the time of this recording, September 10th, the presidential election is tonight, September 10th. So we're going to use news headlines from the presidential debate. I think I said the presidential election, but what I meant is the presidential debate is tonight, September 10th. But this lesson is not to teach you political vocabulary. You're going to learn vocabulary, phrasal verbs, idioms, expressions that you can use in your professional and social life. We're just using the presidential debate as our topic. Are you excited for this lesson? This is a great way to expand your vocabulary, learn grammar, and learn pronunciation. And I'm here to help you every step of the way. So make sure you participate. Now, let's review our first headline. This might be a little small depending what device you're using, but don't worry because I have it bigger on the next slide, which I'll share with you. But let me read this to you. And I want you to let me know in the comments. If you're watching live, that's awesome. And if you're watching the replay still, I want you to let me know in the comments which words you don't understand. Is there anything about the grammar, or maybe you're not sure about pronunciation? Let me know what you want to review in the comments. And I've chosen some vocabulary that I think will be very helpful for you to add to your speech. So the headline is Harris. Harris is, of course, Kamala Harris, one of the candidates for president, and she will be participating in the presidential debate, which takes place tonight, September 10th. Harris relents on muting debate microphones. This text is quite small. Don't worry, I'll show it to you larger. The vice president, who is Kamala Harris, the vice president made an unsuccessful push to have Donald Trump's microphone left on when it wasn't the former president's turn to speak. Okay, so let me know which words you don't understand, what doesn't make sense to you, what confuses you, and we'll review this together. Now, I am very happy that Meerkat Lover 2004 wants to know what relents means because I knew, I had an idea. I figured my students wouldn't know what relents means. So let's review that. Okay. So this is the first choice here. Harris relents on muting debate microphones. Now, another student wants to know, what does the word Harris mean? This is very important. The name of this woman is Kamala Harris. Harris is her last name, just like my name is Jennifer Forrest. But in news headlines, often they just use the last name. So if someone was talking about me, they would say Forrest, but her last name is Harris. Okay, so let's talk about relents. Now, to relent, this is a verb. So notice that conjugation. It's in what verb tense? What verb tense is this, everyone? Harris relents. What verb tense? You can put it in the comments. To relent on something, this is a verb, and it means to finally agree to do something or accept something, but that you have been resisting or opposing. So basically, this means at first you said, no, I'm not doing it. But then you relent and you say, okay, fine, I'll do it. So you change your stance, you change your opinion, you change what you agreed to or accepted. For example, I told my kids they can't watch the debate. So I said, no, for whatever reason, it's too late, or I don't want them, it's too mature or adult for them. I don't want them watching it. So I told my kids they can't watch the debate. But in the end, I relented. I relented, which means I change my opinion. I change my mind. I change what I said. So it means my kids can watch the debate because I relented. I relented. Remember, this is a verb, so you need to conjugate it. And who knew what Harris relents? What's that verb tense? We have some answers here. Lugio said present simple. Exactly. Roosevelt, present simple, third person. Exactly. Because Harris represents Kamala Harris, a woman. She relents. She relents. And don't forget, you have to add that S on third person singular. And Pete said, give in. Exactly. Relent is another way of saying give in. Give in. I gave in. I gave in. So it means I finally said yes to something I originally said no to, or the opposite. I say no, but I originally said yes. Vasily wants to know what muting means. Okay, so if I mute my microphone, that would be if my microphone were muted. It means the sound of my microphone is turned off. You cannot hear it. So this means that originally Kamala Harris wanted the microphones to be muted, but then she relented. She changed her opinion. Okay. Now let's move on. What other words don't you understand from this? Let's review it. Oh, and of course, if you're liking this lesson, well, then hit like, subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson, a live lesson, or a regular lesson, and put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes. So I know you like this style of lesson because I want to make sure I'm creating lessons that are helping you. So let me know if you like this lesson. Okay, so our next, we know Harris relents on muting debate microphones. So notice you relent on doing something. You need that gerund verb after on because on is a preposition. The vice president, who is Kamala Harris, the vice president, Kamala Harris, made an unsuccessful push to have Donald Trump's microphone left on. If the microphone is left on, it means you can hear the sound from the microphone when it wasn't the former president's turn to speak. So let's review push to have. But notice here it's a noun because you have a push to have, an unsuccessful push to have. So push in this context is a noun, a push, but this is commonly used in the verb form to push to do something. When you push to do something, you make a strong effort or attempt to achieve or influence something. So you might push to have live lessons every day. How could you do that? Well, you constantly send me an email saying, Jennifer, you should have a live lesson every day. So by you trying to influence my decision, you're pushing. You're pushing to have a live lesson every day. Now, let's look at this example. I pushed to watch the debate because remember, my kids, I said, no, you can't watch the debate. So this could be my child saying, I pushed to watch the debate. So the child could say, please, please, but I really want to. It's important for me to learn this information. Please, please. So it's trying to influence me to achieve this. Now, you could also say, I pushed someone. I pushed my mom to let me watch the debate. I pushed Jennifer to post live lessons every day. So you can push or push someone to do something. Yusuf said, and everyone comment using these examples. This is the best way to practice so you permanently remember this information. And I am happy to give you feedback as well to as many students as I can. I push myself to dedicate my time to learn more from you. Well, that's very nice. So you push yourself, you encourage yourself, you influence yourself, you push yourself. Rakib said, I push myself to speak, because remember, you need the infinitive to do something. I push myself to speak English every day. That is an excellent example. Great job, Rakib. Keep doing it. Okay, so let's keep going, everyone. And we have a different headline. So here on the left, we have Kamala Harris, who is currently the vice president of the United States. Remember, it's the United States. It's an exception. Countries don't have articles. Canada, France, Germany, but the United States. You need that article. And then, of course, on the right, we have former President Donald Trump. And tonight, September 10th, they are having a debate. A debate. Okay, so this headline reads, "No hot mic moments." What else to know about the Harris versus? This V with a period represents versus Trump debate. So Harris versus Trump, Harris against Trump. Here's where the saga on microphone muting landed. We're actually going to look at this small font below, but if there's something you don't understand in this headline, let me know and I will answer that for you. Okay. Before we move on, I really like this example from Theophil. Parents push their children. It's just their children, no S, their children, because there is already for plural, their children to study hard. Exactly. And I push my students to learn more advanced vocabulary, but I do it in a way to help you because I teach it to you fully and I'm here to support you. Very nice examples, everyone. I love it. Okay, so here's where the saga on microphone muting landed. Do you know what a saga is? This is used a lot in books, movies. You might think of Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or Harry Potter. You could consider that a saga. A saga, this is a noun. You can identify nouns because they have an article. In the headline, it's the saga. But here I just wrote a saga because a means any and the is a specific saga. A saga, notice that pronunciation. I've said it many, many times. A saga is a long, complicated, and often dramatic series of events or stories. And that's why I referenced the three that I know of, the longest, most complicated and dramatic stories: Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and Star Wars. Which saga are you familiar with? There are, of course, many, many, many more. Which saga are you familiar with? But you can use this in your day-to-day life. For example, the renovation project turned into a saga. So it was supposed to be simple. They were just going to redo their counters. So the counter is where you put your plates, you put your cutting board. It's the surface in your kitchen. So it was supposed to be simple, but then it turned into a saga. Turn into means became. It became a saga. It became long, complicated, dramatic. Maybe there were a lot of problems, a lot of issues. It was a lot more expensive than they expected. It took a lot more time than they expected. It turned into a saga. Or this is often used in the media. The media followed their legal saga for weeks. So there might be a celebrity couple and they're getting divorced, but it's a long, complicated, dramatic divorce. You can refer to the divorce as a saga. Okay, Muhammad said their relationship turned into A saga. Exactly. But remember, Muhammad, it's turn into. So you need that preposition into, and then you have to conjugate your verb turn. So this would be in the past simple. Their relationship turned into a saga. Okay. Someone asked about what a hot mic is. Yes. Okay. So, first of all, a mic is short form for microphone. Native speakers, we like to take long words and shorten them. For example, most native speakers don't actually say renovation, we say reno. We don't say microphone, we say mic. This is a mic. It's a very good quality mic because I want you to have a great experience listening to my lessons. So hopefully you think the quality of the sound is very good because of this mic. Now, a hot mic, this is not important vocabulary for you in your day to day speech, but just to understand the headline, a hot mic is an active mic. So, right now, my mic is hot. This is important because imagine at the beginning of a debate and I'm talking to someone beside me, but I didn't know my mic was hot. I didn't know my mic was active, was turned on. The audience can hear what I'm saying, but I didn't know they could hear what I was saying. So a hot mic is just an active mic. A muted mic means there's no sound, it's on mute. Okay, excellent questions, everyone. Now you know what a saga is. So let's keep going because let's look at the word landed. This is very commonly used, but look at the sentence structure where something, in this case, where the saga on microphone muting, all of that represents something. So where something or where someone landed. So this to the word landed means to reach a particular point or conclusion. For example, in a business context, you could say, where did the board of directors, which native speakers shorten to just the word board, where did the board land on the salary increases? Because grammatically, you land on something. So in this case, the something is salary increases. This is basically asking, what did the board decide? What was their final conclusion about the salary increases? What was their decision? What was their position? Where did they land? You can absolutely use this in a everyday social situation. For example, my friend could ask me, imagining I'm a child, my friend could ask me, where did your parents land on the debate? So, what did your parents decide? What was their final decision? Where did your parents land? Ah, oh, they said I can't watch the debate. Or my parents relented so I can watch the debate. They originally said no, but then they changed their opinion. They relented. Okay. So maybe remember you wanted to push me to post live lessons every day. So you might ask a fellow student, where did Jennifer land? Where did Jennifer land on the live lesson? Is she going to post them daily? Yes or no? What was her decision? All right, everyone. And exactly, Roosevelt. Mic is short for microphone. Okay. And Hafiz, the Twilight Saga. Absolutely. That is a great example of a saga. Very nice. All right, everyone. Manuel asks, landed the conversation. It is over, land it. Yeah, you could say we landed the conversation. We reached a particular point or conclusion, but you could ask, where did the conversation land? So, what was the final result or conclusion of it? Did you reach a consensus, an opinion, a decision. For example, where did the conversation land? How did the conversation land? You could ask that as well. All right, everyone. Excellent job. Now let's continue on. We have a new headline. Do you recognize the man on the right? Who knows the man on the right? It's Elon Musk, of course. And the man on the left is former President Donald Trump, who will be taking part in the debate tonight, the presidential debate, tonight being September 10th, depending on when you watch this lesson. Okay. Mohammed said today Trump's debate will don't forget that turn into a saga. That's a great example and is possible. The debate could turn into a saga. It could turn into a long, complicated, dramatic story or event rather than just a debate. That's absolutely possible. Okay, great example, everyone. Now, everyone knows it's Elon Musk. Very good. So let's read this headline together. This is from Technology Magazine. Tech futurists. Do you know what the word tech is? Anyone know? Tech? Tech futurists hash out Harris versus Trump. Notice here there's a VS period before we just saw a V. Both of them are short form for versus. You can just have the V or the VS. They're both acceptable short forms. Versus Harris versus Trump. Harris against Trump. And the small text, which we call the subtext, says at a conference in San Francisco Thursday, tech wonks aired out their unease about the upcoming election. Okay. So Roosevelt said, tech is a short word for technology. Exactly. And my smart students, everybody knows this already. Well, then I didn't need to teach this to you because this is my first point, but I just wanted to make sure everyone knew. So technology, tech. Notice that K sound, tech. So it's very common to just say, I work in high tech. I need tech support. I bought some new tech. Native speakers just use the word tech. But my smart students, you already know this. Everybody knows this. Awesome. Okay, so Rakib wants to know the meaning of hash out. And I saw some other students who also wanted to know that. And don't worry, because that's my next word for you. So tech futurists hash out. So to hash out, this is a phrasal verb. The main verb is hash, and then the preposition is out. So you would conjugate the verb hash. This means to discuss something thoroughly. And it's usually because you want to reach an agreement or find a solution. So you might say, let's hash out the details of the contract before we sign it. So absolutely, Svetlana means discuss, but just remember, it sounds like to discuss very thoroughly. Thoroughly means completely 100% in depth. And also the point is to reach an agreement or find a solution. So here they want to reach an agreement on the details of the contract and they want to hash it out. So discuss it thoroughly in detail. All right. And re-ask, yeah, docs, exactly. This is another great example of a shortened word in English. Docs is short for documents, but because it's plural, we keep that S. You could also say the doc. I sent you the doc. I sent you a doc, and it's singular, but I sent you the docs. Okay, so that's plural. Great example. And Farshad, exactly. To hash out, to discuss thoroughly. So in an everyday context, you and your friends, your family, you could hash out your vacation plans. It just means you discuss them thoroughly, but you want to reach a decision. So you want to decide, where are we going? How are we getting there? What are we going to do? Okay, excellent job, everyone. Oh, Yusuf asked about unease, and we will talk about that. I have that highlighted as well. So just 1 second, and then we'll talk about that. Okay. And we will also talk about wonks and aired out. Don't worry, I know what words you won't understand. All right, let's move on. What do we have? Tech wonks. Do you know what a wonk is? That's a weird word. Repeat after me. Wonk, wonk, wonks, 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 because it's in the plural. A wonk, this is a noun. This is a person who likes to think about or study something, but who spends a great amount of time doing it. So I understand you like studying English, you like studying English grammar, but to qualify as a wonk, it would mean you spend a great amount of time, far more time than the average student. So you have to study it 10 times more than the average student to be considered a wonk. But for example, he's a grammar wonk, and we'll talk about verb conjugations for hours. So, yes, you enjoy learning about English grammar, but do you spend 10 times more time than the average student? Do you obsess about it and think about it and want to talk about it all the time? So, don't call yourself a wonk simply because you like thinking about or studying certain topics. You have to really be obsessed with those topics and spend the majority of your time on those topics to be considered a wonk. So, what about you? Would you consider yourself a wonk? Remember, you have to be obsessed, spend way more time than the average student. It's okay if you're not a wonk. I don't think you need to be a wonk to get amazing results or to become fluent. Okay, so let's move on and talk about aired out. So, to air something out, in this case, the something is their unease about the upcoming election. That's the something. To air something out, this is a phrasal verb. The verb is air. The verb is air. Let me repeat that. The verb is air, and then the preposition is out. So you have to conjugate the verb air. As you see it here, it's in the past. Now, this means to bring issues, thoughts, or feelings into the open for discussion. But generally, these are thoughts, issues, and feelings that you don't share with the average person. So, for example, we went to couples therapy to air out our issues. So, my partner and I, we wanted to share our feelings, but we wanted to do that in a safe way. So, when you air out your feelings with your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your husband, your wife, your best friend, you tell them how you truly feel, your true emotions for the purpose of discussing them. So we often use this when there is some negativity involved, when there's upset feelings involved. So that's why it's with unease, because unease means it's more of a negative. So let's look at that. Unease. Now, notice here, this is a noun because it's one's unease, their unease. There is the possessive, but unease is a noun, and it's feelings of discomfort, anxiety, or worry. So, elections often produce unease in society. Elections often result in, create feelings of discomfort, anxiety, or worry because it's a big change. An election is a big change, and change means uncertainty and it creates unease. But you may be more familiar with the adjective I feel uneasy. So uneasy is the adjective. Unease is the noun. I feel uneasy about my exam. So if you say this, I feel uneasy about my exam, it means you have feelings of discomfort, anxiety, or worry, which is absolutely a normal feeling to have when you're taking an exam or going to a job interview or you're speaking in public. So don't worry if you feel uneasy or you have unease. You have unease. Just remember, unease is a noun and uneasy is an adjective. So different structures, different grammatical structures, but the meaning is the same. All right. Here's a great example. She's a wonk music, but you want to change the order. So it's the something and then a wonk. She's a music wonk. I'm a grammar wonk. She's a music wonk and sings songs all the time. Exactly. Now, because it's she, you need to add that S to sing. She sings because she in third person singular, you need to add that S. But excellent example. That's a great example. She's a music wonk. The average person listens to 30 minutes of music per day. I made that up. I have no idea if that is true. But let's say the average person listens to 30 minutes of music per day. She listens to 5 hours of music per day. She's a music wonk. All right. Kumari said, I have unease or I feel unease about speaking to people. So unease is a noun. So you have a subject I, but you need a verb. So you can have this noun, you can feel this noun. I have unease about speaking to people. And that's totally normal. Just don't let your unease prevent you from taking action. Okay. Raymond said, when you feel uneasy, exactly the adjective. When you feel uneasy, it's good to have someone to air out. Yes, exactly. To talk. This is such a great example, Raymond, to talk about your feelings of discomfort, feelings that normally you don't discuss with people. Excellent example. Really nicely said. Yeah, Svetlana, you can absolutely say, I feel uneasy, because that's the adjective. I feel uneasy about speaking to people. Exactly. Very nice. Abdurazak said, I am a wonk to learn English. Very nice. Now, you might say, I am an English wonk. So have the noun and then just add wonk. So I'm an English wonk. So wonk is your noun. Excuse me. Wonk is your noun. And then English can form or can function as the adjective to describe what type of wonk. I'm an English wonk. I'm a music wonk. I'm a movie wonk. I'm a tech wonk. I'm a finance wonk. So you would have this topic, the subject, and then add the word wonk. Very nice. Muadisa said, I feel uneasy. Exactly. I feel uncomfortable, feelings of discomfort. I feel uneasy when anyone asks me too many personal questions. Exactly. Excellent, excellent example. Really nice. Okay. Air out could be, it's not exactly the same as to vent, but they're closely related, but they're not exactly the same, but they are closely related. Yes. I am a YouTube wonk. Exactly. Excellent job. Very nice. Okay, let's continue to our next headline. So, Harris, remember, this woman in the picture is Kamala Harris. Harris is her last name. She's currently the vice president and she is running for president, which means she wants to become president. Tonight, September 10th, there is a debate, a presidential debate, and the election is in November. Harris hires Rule Vote Director in bid to cut into Trump's battleground margins. Rule voters in just a handful of states could swing the outcome of the November elections. Okay, which words don't you understand? Which words would you like to review in more detail? Well, let's see which ones I chose for you and then put what other words you want in the comments. Okay, the first word I chose for you is hire. I think you already know this word, but I want to just quickly touch on the sentence structure. So to hire someone. So hire is the verb. That's why you have the S here because it's in the present simple. This means to give someone a job. The company hired me. You hire someone. Hire is the verb. In this case, it's the past simple. The company hired me because of my impressive communication skills, because I'm an English wonk. Remember? Okay, now the other way this is commonly used is to use the structure to be hired. I was hired. I was hired, which means someone gave you a job. You received a job. So just remember that important distinction there. Okay, bid. Everybody wants to talk about bid. Oh, wow. And don't worry because we are going to talk about bid and we are going to talk about cut into. Okay, so let's look at our next one. In a bid to. So when you see a word like bid, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what is the expression? Am I just looking at the word bid, or is this an expression that requires other grammar to go with it? Because we need in a bid to do something. Now, in the headline, there is no article because in news headlines, they omit articles because the purpose of a headline is to be as short as possible. And articles, the word "a," is only there for grammar. It doesn't have any meaning, and native speakers understand it without the article. But grammatically, it is required. Okay. So it's in a bid to do something. Bid in this case means attempt. So you can say in an attempt or in an effort to do or achieve something. So, for example, the company launched, which means they made public for the first time. The company launched a new product in a bid to increase its market share. So, in an attempt to, in order to do this basically, okay, in a bid to. But this is a formal or technical word choice. You can absolutely use this in a more professional context if you're talking to your colleagues in a professional way. And you will hear this a lot in the media, specifically in a professional or more formal context. But for you in your everyday speech, you would say, I'm improving my English to get hired, which means in order to get hired. You would not say, I'm improving my English in a bid to get hired. That sounds unnatural because in a bid to is only used in a more formal or technical way. So make sure for your everyday use, you simply say, I'm improving my English to get hired. You can say in order to get hired, but native speakers generally don't use in order. We just say, I'm improving my English to get. So the infinitive, to get hired, to get a job, to get a promotion, to pass my IELTS, to move to an English speaking country. So you can complete the sentence. I'm improving my English. Give me an infinitive after that to practice this. I'm improving my English. Give me an infinitive. All right. Now, let's move on to our next one. Cut into. Some students wanted to know about this. To cut into, this means to reduce or to encroach. You probably don't know what the word encroach means. It means to slowly take control or possession. The easiest way to imagine this is, let's say I have a garden right here, and there are weeds on the outside of the garden, okay? But the weeds are encroaching. They're encroaching on my garden. So the weeds are getting closer, and then they're taking over my garden. And soon, if I don't do anything, my whole garden will be weeds because the weeds encroached on my garden. So the word encroach is commonly used even in a day-to-day speech. If I'm sharing a desk with someone and then all of a sudden all these papers are from the other person, but they're on my side of the desk, I could say your things are encroaching on my space. So you brothers and sisters, siblings, roommates will commonly use this to talk about someone trying to take over their space with their own things. Okay. Now, but cut into is the same as to encroach or to reduce. So remember before we talked about a renovation, a reno. This renovation is cutting into our vacation fund. So you have this vacation fund, an amount of money for a vacation, but you have to take some of that money to pay for your renovation because remember, it turned into a saga. So that renovation is cutting into, it's reducing your vacation fund. So that's what cut into. So Kamala Harris she offers a job to a rural vote director. This is a job title. A vote director is someone who just controls that part of the campaign. Rural means in the countryside. It's the opposite of the city, an urban area, a rural area. Rural is where there are lots of farms, big properties, less people. So Kamala Harris gives a job to someone with the job title rural vote director in an attempt to reduce, in a bid to cut into, reduce Trump's battleground margins. A margin, which I don't have here, a margin is just how much. So there's the vote, okay? There's the population. If Trump controls 50% of the vote, that's his margin. So it's the amount that is given to Donald Trump, the percentage, the share, the amount. So Kamala wants to get some of that margin. She wants to reduce it, cut into it, so she has more for herself. Yeah, exactly. It's a share. Yeah, it's a share, a percentage, an allocation. Okay. So let's look at a handful of, because this is more common every day that you can use in your speech. I don't think, well, like I said, in a bid to is just formal, but you can use in order to. So a handful of, this is a small number or a few of something. So you might say, I made a handful of mistakes. It's another way of saying I made a few mistakes, a small number of mistakes. Or I could be reviewing a CV, a resume, and I could say there were a handful of mistakes, grammar mistakes on this CV. But just remember, just because a handful is small, it still can be too many. So when I say there were a handful of mistakes on this CV, That could be a very negative thing, even though handful is small. So it really depends on context if a handful of something is a positive thing or a negative thing. It just depends on context. Okay. Kumari said, my sister is encroaching on my table, please. Exactly. So you have your table, but then all of a sudden, your sister's water bottle is on your table. Your sister's cell phone is on your table. She's encroaching on your table. Good example. Good example. Okay. So let's look at swing. This is very commonly used in a political sense, but we'll review some examples where it isn't used in a political sense. So, to swing the outcome or the results, swing is a verb. This means to influence or change. So, rural voters, voters who live in non urban areas, non city areas, rural voters in just a handful, a small number of states could change the outcome or influence the outcome of the election. Now, in a sports context, the player's injury could swing the game. So the player hurt her arm. So now she can't play. That can swing the game because without that player, the team is not very good. So the team will lose. So the player's injury changed the game, it impacted the game. So could swing the game. Or her decision to change the recipe swung the results of the baking contest in her favor. So it influenced the results in her favor, which means positive to her. Now, notice swung is the past simple of swing. Swing, swung. Okay. Kumari said, I have a handful of chocolates. Exactly. I have a handful. So a small number of, because you can only fit a small number of chocolates in your hand, right? Yusef said, I decide to be English wonk to swing my English fluency. Exactly. To influence, to change your English fluency. Very nicely said. And those are our headlines. Look at everything we reviewed and look at everything you learned in this lesson. Now, Louise said, I'm looking forward to watching the debate tonight. Well, that's excellent. And tomorrow, make sure you watch my lesson because I will be reviewing a news article on the debate. I haven't created the lesson yet because I'm going to wait until the debate tonight. And then tomorrow, I'm going to create the lesson and you can watch it tomorrow. Now, I have the PDF for everything we reviewed today. So I'll put the link to the PDF in the description and I'll leave it in the comment section as well. But what did you think? Did you enjoy this lesson where we reviewed news headlines of a very topical issue that's taking place now? Do you want me to create another lesson where we review news headlines just like this so you can learn grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, sentence structure? What do you think? If you do, well then like this video, subscribe so you're notified the next time I post a lesson, and put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments so I know you liked this lesson as well. All right. Well, Raymond said amazing lesson. Thank you. I am so glad. Will the lesson after the debate be live? Great question, Esther. No, it will not be live. I'm going to post it as a regular lesson. So it will be on my channel as a regular lesson. It will be available tomorrow. I don't know exactly what time because I have to create the lesson tomorrow because the debate is tonight, but it should be around 9 o'clock Eastern time. All right, you're very welcome, Theobald and Horatio. Like this lesson. Woohoo! Mr. TJ said, without any doubts, which means I liked your lesson. Thank you. You're very welcome. AK liked the lesson. Awesome. I am so happy that everyone liked this lesson. And Durazak said, watching your YouTube live will swing my speaking skills. I love it. I love how everyone is practicing and using this vocabulary. This is exactly what you need to do to really feel comfortable using these words. You have to practice, practice, practice using them. All right, everyone. Aw, and you liked it before you watched it. I really appreciate that. That means so much to me. Thank you again, everyone, for being here with me. And make sure you watch my lesson tomorrow. And if you're watching the replay of this, make sure you go on my channel and find the lesson. And I'll leave the link for it in the description as well once the lesson is available, because I will be covering a news article related to the presidential debate, which is taking place tonight. I am very excited to share that lesson with you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. Bye, everyone. See you very soon.